It's hard to know how to tell your loved one what you think about their body, especially if you want them to lose some weight or even to gain some weight. And for most people, it can be very tricky. It is a very sensitive subject, and in some cases, it can hurt your loved one and make them to feel shamed, unattractive, and even has been known to cause breakups. So in this video, I will tell you what you should do and what you should avoid to encourage your loved one to do something about their self-image without causing any friction. The first thing you want to do is not to shame your partner, because this can make them to feel very unattractive. So what you want to do is to hold frank conversations with them and be with them at a place which is convenient for them to tell them how you feel about them, to either lose weight or even to gain some little of weight. Avoid using shame as a way of telling your partner how you feel about them, and avoid using statements like "look at how fat you've become." This way of putting your message across to your partner can cause a lot of problems. So one way in which your partner can react to what you tell them about their body image is they will start eating very healthy when they're in front of you, and they will watch their food and try to show that they are healthy and that they've taken a step to make a change. And the problem is that these kind of changes are short-lived, they are not long-term. So it will only be something they will do for a few weeks or a couple of months, and maybe they go back to the way they used to eat. On the contrary, they might start eating a lot when they are on their own, because this is their only time they find freedom, and they think now they can eat as they like because you're not there to monitor them. So you can see, if you give the message in the wrong way, it can cause other problems than the ones you're trying to avoid. So if this issue is not properly approached, it can cause a continuous cycle where you tell them that they are overweight, and then they will try to eat clean when they are with you. When they are alone, they will eat unhealthy and very high calorie foods, and then they will continue to put on weight because now they're eating even more calories, and then you'll continue to tell them that they are looking even more fat, and this will continue on, and sometimes it can even end up hurting your relationship. Now, the second way in which your partner can react is by eating more food and more unhealthy food in front of you. This is their way of them being defensive. That is their body, and they can do whatever they like with it. And also it's a way to show you that it's none of your business. So it's actually their way of hitting back to you, and what they do is they just do the opposite of just what you wanted them to do. So phrases that focus on your partner's body and their eating habits will only make them to become more defensive. So shaming is more likely to promote exactly or even worse the behaviors that you're trying to change in your partner. So if such issues are not handled properly and approached in the right way, they can be psychologically damaging, and they can also make your relationship to tone down in intimacy. So you want to make sure that when you want to talk to your partner about their body, which they are very sensitive about, and everyone is, you have to be very careful with how you approach this issue. So some of the ways in which people shame their partners can be saying things like "you're not attractive anymore," or "you don't even fit in your own clothes." And they might seem like very simple statements, but they can hurt your partner's feelings, and they might make them to start thinking, for how long have you been thinking about this without telling them? Shaming at most rarely creates any lasting change. The only thing it does is to damage your relationship. Now, the next thing you don't want to do is to bring up those discussions about weight loss or weight gain during dinner time. You don't want to tell your partner to reduce the amount of food they're eating because you are thinking that that's what's making them to become fat or overweight. Instead, you want to understand them and to be able to help them in a better way. Stop telling your partner to reduce the amount of food they're eating just because you think that's what's making them to put on weight. No matter how kind you might sound, this will not go down well. So don't bring this kind of topics during dinner time or any time that you're on the table. Instead, keep discussion focused on health at other times and not at meal times. Avoid telling your partner that they are keeping on putting on weight, and that you have noticed and realized that when you go to bed, they wake up and go back to the fridge to eat. This kind of talks can actually look so natural, but deep inside, they could be hurting your partner. It's very tempting to speak about the details of why your partner put on weight, but the best thing you can do is to try to show concern and love to your partner, and that your main focus is for them to be healthy and to lead a quality life. Now, another thing you want to avoid is to try to use tricks. Avoid telling your partner to watch programs or series about weight loss like The Biggest Loser. They know this program exists, and if they want to watch it, they can watch it by themselves. So you could be thinking that you're helping your partner, but they could misinterpret it and think that it's your indirect way of telling them that they're overweight. This can also present itself in a way that you are not ready anytime soon to talk to them about how you feel about their body. So this can be a very bad trick for you to use to try to tell your partner what you feel about them and what you want them to do, especially if you yourself have been able to lose weight. So try to speak about your concern and love to your partner personally, and try to come to them in an openly, lovely, and genuine manner. So the fourth thing you want to do is not to monitor the food intake of your partner. Do not watch everything they put in their mouth. You're not a nutritionist. If you have a good basic knowledge on nutrition, you can communicate to them about eating holistic foods and eating nutritious foods, and avoid commenting on the bad choices of your partner on food and linking that up to their reason as to why they are putting on weight. So avoid as much as you can to become a watchdog over the way your partner eats, and trying to pick on every little thing they eat and trying to prove whether it's nutritious or not, whether it is calorie dense or not, because in this way they'll develop a very bad relationship with food, and to try to make them to change in future is going to be more difficult than you thought. So if you find it to be so difficult, you communicating to them about how they can eat healthy, try to refer them to a nutritionist who can give checks and balances, and in that process they might end up to lose the weight or even gain if they need to. The moment you start policing your partner's eating habits, you set up yourself for a complicated relationship. Just remember, even though your partner is not talking about it, no one is judging them more harshly than they are judging themselves. So the fifth thing you want to do is to avoid using force and instead give freedom. Do not force your partner to talk about their weight loss or even weight gain when they feel they don't want to talk about it. You need to give them that freedom and space for them to feel they are free to make a choice on whether they want to lose weight or not. If they feel like they don't want to discuss about their weight or this issue, then let it go. Discussing one's weight is extremely personal and a very sensitive matter. So people need to decide for themselves whether they want to lose weight or even to gain or to remain the same. It's a choice that everybody has, and you cannot force anyone on what you need them to do. However, if it has to be done, then it has to be done slowly and over time. And remember, just because your loved one does not want to talk about their weight with you, that does not mean that they're not thinking about it or even talking about it somewhere else. It could be maybe they don't want to talk about it at this time in life. If they like being thin or fat, is their own choice, and don't measure them with your own standards. It's one of those personal choices that people make. When you married them, it was for better or for worse. So there are ways in which you can communicate this matter to your partner without causing any friction. Use common sense and be sensitive. Do remember that your loved one may have already been shamed somewhere else about how they look, and they might be feeling so bad about it, and their self-esteem could be low. So even if your loved one jokes openly about their weight, this does not mean that they are comfortable with their body. Be sensitive and thoughtful with your words and your approach, because remember, this subject matter can be very painful and shame-inducing. Another way could be using passion and feelings. Try speaking about your partner's health with feelings. So you can use words like, I don't want to see you get like high blood pressure, or I don't want your health to suffer. Those kind of words can make someone to feel that you are concerned and that what you are saying is coming from a place of love. So always try to speak with love and respect, and try to tell your partner that you love them just the way they are, and that you're trying to speak to them because you want them to live a healthy and happy life as possible. Now, we've talked about a lot, but there's this one area I want us to focus on, and this is our fourth point: empathy. This is something we talk about every day, but it's very hard to implement and to even put into practice. Now, try to think about an area in your life in which you are very touchy, especially things like how you spend money, your education, and other things you've done in life that are very sensitive to you. How would you want someone to approach you about those things? Of course, they are very sensitive and painful. So now when you speak to your partner, offer lots of love and support. So speaking to your partner without true empathy and compassion for their struggle will only push them away. So our fifth and last thing is to look beyond the fault. Although your loved one's weight may seem like a very simple issue of motivation and self-control, it may not be as you think. Your loved one may have an eating disorder or even a physical condition that is causing them to gain or even lose weight. So avoid to give the impression that it's their fault that they are fat or even thin, but instead draw them into a calm discussion and show how you want to support and even help them. Talking about weight is never easy. No matter what you do or say, it's ultimately up to your loved one to decide how they will follow through. Use sensitivity and love, and above all, give your loved one the respect and space to find their own way. If you want to know 5 ways in which sleep can help you to lose weight, click on this video here, and also don't forget to subscribe.